Hi, and thanks for joining the SJ Child Show today. I'm so excited for this conversation. First off, I absolutely was so thrilled to find someone like Marianne that was out there doing this amazing work that I hadn't seen before. So that's exciting because we all want to, you know, find something that maybe we hadn't thought could help in a situation or an area of families' lives. And she specializes in something that is a very vulnerable and hard time for families to go through, the time where they need the most support. And that is divorce. And so we're going to touch on some of these subjects today. So they might be sensitive or, get your Kleenex boxes just in case, because I should have brought mine, in fact, because I know I'm probably going to cry a little bit, but that's okay. The great part about it is really focusing and highlighting the service that she's providing for these families and through the delicate times that they're going through. So, Marianne, it's such a pleasure to have you here. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thanks, Sarah. So excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you were part of the 1 in 36 mix too. And I'm so glad that we connected and you were able to share what you do in that summit, because I know that it brought a lot of attention for people who reached out to me and said, hey, could I, find somebody that could help me? And so I was able to recommend. So thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what brought you to the destination.
Sure. So I'm a mom of two now young adults on opposite ends of the autism spectrum. They're now in their early 20s. And several years ago, I faced an unexpected divorce. And so I had to figure out how to navigate that, but also how to take care of my kids. And in the process, I learned so much. I learned that there weren't many resources out there to help, but I did do the legwork. I had to get a team of people. I had to educate them, educate myself. And so I thought it was kind of silly for the high divorce rate that we have among families with different abilities, that there's not more help and we shouldn't have to recreate the wheel every time somebody goes through this. So I decided I'm going to take my knowledge and get more knowledge. And I started Special Find Me Transitions, my first time having my own company, and became a special needs divorce coach. So since then, I've got all kinds of certifications. I'm a thought leader in the field, but I'm real proud of the work I do because, like you said, it's a difficult time for people. It's something that no one plans for or wishes for, but sometimes it happens, and the reality is it happens a lot. About 80% of families with some kind of autism diagnosis or special needs or whatever go through difficult life transitions. Sometimes they work it out and a lot of times they don't. But the important thing is how do we get through that process in a way that puts the kids first, also respects ourselves in the process, and end up with a good result and outcome for the future for all of us.
Absolutely. And do you offer this coaching online as well as in person?
I do. I'm based in Houston, but a lot of my clients are all over the country and different parts of the world as well. So yeah, I'm happy to do sessions on Zoom. Even the ones locally like to do it online as well. I'm happy to do it, face to face on Zoom, or some people like the privacy of doing it on the phone. That way they don't have to show their face. So either way, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to support people no matter where they are in the process, just thinking about it, initially going through it, or even after divorce, how to handle some co-parenting type challenges, how to support the kids in the future, help them kind of cope with what's happening. I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not a legal professional, but I try to take kind of best practice from what I've learned and learn about your people's situation and help them come up with some good ways to go forward.
I love that. What do you think is maybe the first step that what do you call them? Spouses should take to initiate with their kids? And, I guess you really have to be cognizant of the age group and the ability to comprehend the information. What do you suggest is the best way for someone to start that process?
Yeah, so I would say do it gradually. Don't spring it on as a surprise. I just had an email this morning from somebody who attended one of my webinars presentations I did recently, and she was having a hard time because she just got served. Somebody came to the door, and it was a shock to her and her young adult son that was home, who was on the spectrum. And so they're trying to cope with that and deal with that. So in addition to all the things you go through, all the feelings, you have to figure out, okay, how do I act as a role model to my son? We don't want to badmouth anybody. We don't want to distance the child from either parent. But I would suggest, if you're thinking about this, or this is kind of on the horizon, don't spring it on the other side. Do it in a manner that's respectful to everybody involved. Just say, this isn't working out. We tried. I mean, definitely try. And if it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. And there's no shame in that. It used to kind of be seen as a taboo, but so many families go through this, and it is better for a child to be in two separate homes than one where there's a lot of conflict, and then issues arise from there. So don't feel like you can't get divorced because you're trying to do what's best for your child. A lot of times it's not the best situation for them to be in a home where there's a lot of conflict and anxiety, and then that will then transfer to the child too.
Yeah, that's the truth. This is a tough question. How honest do you think parents need to be with their child or children about the details or reasons? And at some point, if they decide maybe they're too young to have all the information, is it appropriate or necessary for them to be forthcoming for any in the future? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so definitely, like you said, it's going to be age appropriate, but you never want to share the intimate, personal, private details about the split to the child. It's not really their place. That's more for a coach for you to share that, for your attorney, and for trusted adult individuals. So even if your child is an adult, it's not something that we want to share necessarily. What we want to do with the kids, whether they're young or older, and depending on their level, we want to handle it differently, is to let them know this is the situation. Both parents care about you and love you and want to support you, but things are going to look different. So one way I approach it for my family, when I was facing it, because I couldn't really find people to help me explain it to my kids. So I created a social story, and that's what I use in a very positive fashion, positive tone, to explain what was happening, what they could expect. I called it what's happening to my family, because that's really what the kids want to know is, where am I going to live? When am I going to see each parent? Where am I going to go to school? And what is my life going to look like? Because, as we know, a lot of people on the spectrum like predictability and don't like change sometimes. So we want to kind of help with that transition, to do, like I said, in a gradual manner, be supportive in that. But they don't have to see the messy side of divorce. That's not our role. We should shield them. Sometimes we think maybe if a child is nonverbal and we're having conversations, maybe they won't understand, but they can understand. Even if they can't speak, they can usually understand what we're saying. If they don't understand the words, they may understand the tone and gestures and so on. So we want to shield the kids from that, because we don't want to create even more anxiety and issues for them that they may face as they go through this too.
Absolutely. What do you think about sharing the information with like the schools or with your employers? Where do you need to be, draw the line or be forthcoming with that if you're going through something probably rough? I would expect you might want to give them more information.
Right. I mean, yeah, so definitely you don't want to spill everything to third parties like a school or your employer, if it's some, like you said, details that maybe shouldn't be shared or that are, should be more private. But not to say that divorce needs to be private. We want to inform the schools and the teachers and the village that we're working with that are helping our kids, to let them know what's happening. So if they see some behaviors and some things that seem unusual to them, they can attribute it to, because of the divorce, not to just to say someone's being lazy or aggressive or sad for no reason. This way they have a reason and a context, and hopefully they can provide support as well at school. And so for your employer as well, It may take some energy and some time to get through the process and make phone calls. And you may not be your best self every day as you're dealing with some of the challenges and emotions that you're going through. And so you want to let the employer know that you're going through this. You want to get your work done, and you will maybe work as need be, maybe after hours, because you may have some appointments that you have to attend to. But once again, you want to let them know kind of what's going on to a certain degree, so that they can understand why you may seem a little bit off, I guess, compared to usual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree completely. I think it's important to remain understanding that you do live in a community, and the more you kind of lean into the community, the better that can help you get through some of these really tough times, especially through divorce and custody. What about when it comes to custody plans and things like that? Do you help them lay out plans for timing and scheduling?
Right. So when you have a child with any kind of disability, you have some flexibility, and you do for any kind of divorce as well. But figure out what's going to be best for that child. Is it going to be like a standard formula and possession schedule, or maybe something that's more tailored to you and your needs and what's best for your child? So, a lot of kids, I mentioned with autism, don't like a lot of transition. So one where you're spending, every other day or a couple of days with mom and dad and switch back and forth, that may not be the best solution for you. It may be if someone's been the caregiver for that child, maybe they spend more time or time during the week, and maybe the other parent who maybe is out working hard for the family to continue supporting the child financially, maybe they have different times because of the demands on their schedule. And if both parents work, then you got to find a solution that is going to work as well. But yeah, there's different ways to approach it. So don't, kind of put the child first as you're going through this process. How can we arrange our schedules and make agreements and get through this process so that we put the child first and what's going to benefit them now and in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so hard. Every family is different, and obviously every marriage and relationship is so very different too. Are there some guidelines that you might give the kids for talking or making sure that they feel open to being involved?
Yeah, so definitely we want the kids, whatever their age and whatever their ability, to express themselves in the way that they can. One thing that is a positive, I guess, in this process is kids have to learn, or should learn, to advocate for themselves, to share with mom, to share with dad, or whoever they're going to be spending time with, what things that are bothering them, as well as things that they want and maybe don't work for them in that household. So if one parent maybe isn't familiar and has a different parenting style, which is okay, right? But the child has to let the parent know, this is what works and what doesn't work, and this is what I like. So having a mental health professional kind of help that process can be useful to give them the skills to do that. But also you can create parenting plans and use communication type approaches that where you can share the information with the other parents. Say one parent hasn't been the primary caregiver, hasn't been as involved, then we want to share information so that the child is comfortable and each parent is comfortable when they're with them and during their time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when we are, really intentional with our kids and really looking at what their needs are and everything, even though it's such a hard process, I'm sure it's better when you can kind of understand and be able to accommodate and hopefully have both parties doing the same work as much as possible. And sometimes that's not going to be possible. And there are going to be, rougher times than others. And that's just unfortunate. But it's great that you are somebody there that they can reach out to. And this is such a wonderful service and so important to have those families feel like this situation isn't the kind of end of there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and they can see moving forward that it can be a healthier situation for them. Let's definitely touch on, I think, an important part that I think maybe gets missed, and that's self-care. How should a person going through this, what are some tips you might give the parents for themselves and for their kids for self-care?
Here's a good question. As you said, it's, you're kind of embroiled in the emotion of divorce. And so I help people as a coach to go from the emotion of divorce to the business of divorce. But how do we do that? We have to recognize that this is a big event in our lives, and there's a grief cycle. So it's not affecting just us, but also the kids are facing that as well. So just be cognizant, and it's okay to feel different emotions and go through different phases, whether it's anger, denial, bargaining, and finally want to get to acceptance. But if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to make good decisions in divorce and make good decisions for our kids and be there for our kids. If we're just stressed out and angry all the time, are we really being a good parent? And so, if you can try to find some help, whether it's respite or have people come in, or when the child is in school, perhaps have time for your self-care and do whatever you need to do to eat healthy, exercise, whatever it looks like to you, or just a few moments to relax, have fun, meet up with some friends, whatever self-care might look like to you. So it could be something even for 5 minutes, just being grateful for what you do have. So I heard a quote recently that you can't be grateful and stressed at the same time. So just take a moment to just, be grateful for what we do have. And granted, things are tough, so I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture all the time, but we want to say, okay, what is it that we want our future to look like? What is the goal that we have for ourselves and for our kids? And like you said, the whole point of this is to come up with a bright and positive future for everybody involved. It may look different in different families, and maybe an amicable divorce or maybe more of a high conflict divorce. But either way, there's ways to approach it so that you become your best self and communicate in the best way possible to your child, to your soon-to-be ex-spouse, and to your divorce team. Because the more in control and imposed you are, then the more seriously you'll be taken by everybody that you're coming across with.
I really agree. And, I have a friend going through kind of a rough time right now. And I was just saying, you need to just really focus on the things you're doing. Whatever things the other person isn't doing or is, you don't need to bring that to everyone's table and everyone's attention. Like, really remain like introspective with yourself and not putting the blame or kind of, it's really hard because when you're hurt or you're going through something like that, I think it's a human emotion to feel defensive or things like that. But yeah, you have to be really careful with ears listening and really take the steps to do things like journaling, maybe to get out your feelings, or take the time to have a coach that you can talk to about the really frustrating parts so that you don't have to feel like that you're pent up with these emotions and feelings, that you can't talk about them, but that you're not sharing them with coworkers. You're not sharing them with your kids. And you're really making a plan to move forward for the success for all of you involved. Because really, you came together with the intention that it was going to work, and it doesn't. Most people don't wish horrible. They don't want to see horribleness for the other person. So remember to be kind and to yourself, to your kids, to the other partner for sure. What do you think is some advice that you would give families, whether they're kind of at the beginning or in the middle of this stage?
Yeah. So I would say don't rush into anything. Don't rush into making decisions. Don't rush to tell the other party the first thing that comes to your mind. We want to sit on things. We want to kind of see what's best for us, maybe consult with professionals before making drastic steps or say things that you can't take back. Everything that's out there in text and email can be considered proof. So everything that you're going to say to your spouse, whether it's verbal or written, make the assumption that a third party, like a judge, may see that communication. So we always want to be at our best. Treat this like you would a business deal in a way where, what would you say to your employer? What kind of language will you use? What kind of tone? Because the more upset you are, then you're going to raise the other person's level of emotion as well. So we want to try to keep things as even keel as possible. Granted, you may have the other person as up here, but we want to try to be calm so we can hopefully bring down their level as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that outlook actually, because the more someone can maybe remove the emotions of it, even though it is extremely an emotional time. And I can only say that now, retrospectively looking back at how emotional it was. But I think I was 22 or something when I went through my first divorce. So my only divorce I plan on ever having, by the way. But it was, and I didn't have kids at the time. And so, and even just having to go through something like that, but I also am child of divorced parents, and I'm an only child, and I'm an late diagnosed autistic. And so when I look back at those things and I look back at the kind of trauma that was the life that I had, unfortunately, I would hope that someone like you to be able to go and give advice and help families go through that. And hopefully families are a little bit more open to getting help now than they were then, like when it was more, like you said, a little bit more hush hush and don't let anyone know this is happening. Like, it's happening. The rates, the statistics. So better to be prepared, have somebody in your corner. More importantly, be your best self. Like you said, I really love that you said that. Expect that a third party will have access to all of the communication. I love that you said that. That is something that people really need to keep in mind.
Don't post on social media anything negative about the other person. And
exactly.
You can use it to learn and inspire yourself and learn from podcasts and different things that are out there, which I've done quite a few, and share advice. But yeah, there's things to motivate you to learn, maybe about how to approach different situations. And there's books, and I'm happy to share resources. But it's important to remember that we're always going to be a co-parent with that other parent. We may not be married to them, but when you have a child with needs where both parents will continue to hopefully remain involved, you're going to have that ongoing relationship. It may not be a loving one, but it should be respectful, and one where you can hopefully be in the same room, and if you're not, at least communicate as you need to about that child.
Yeah, because really, most importantly, your child, I'm sure for both parties, is so important, and you do want to know that they are getting the best care that they can get, no matter whether it's from you, a caretaker, your spouse. So put them first, put their dignity and their privacy and all of those things first. I do agree with that. It is so nice to have you on and to catch up with you. Tell people where they can go to find you, to get more information, and then maybe we'll see if there's anything up and coming that you might be doing soon.
Sure. Yeah. So my social media is, and my website name is Special Family Transition. So people can connect with me on all those. I have a contact form on my website that people can reach out to me at and tell me about their situation. I'm happy to do a complimentary session to learn about your situation and discuss how I might be able to help. So most of my work right now is one-on-one coaching, but my plan is to develop a group coaching program. So if you're interested in being part of the pilot or an upcoming session when that gets off the ground, then please reach out to me as well. But I have also a mini course I created for people to kind of get the basics. It's more geared toward the moms, but it's really good for anybody to figure out steps they need to take and things they need to think about when they're going through this process. Because one thing that is unique about this versus, say, a typical divorce is that you're going to have to plan for the child's needs in the future, not just when they turn 18 and hope that everything's going to be fine after that, because it may or may not. And so you have to plan, okay, how are we going to hopefully together take care of the expenses and needs that the young adult or child may have going forward.
Yeah. Website, Special Family Transitions. Okay. Just want to make sure I typed it all correctly. Okay, good. Wonderful.
Follow me on my personal Facebook as well. It's Mary Ann Pano Hughes, with the maiden name in there. But happy to support you. So most of my work is done with one parent, but I've also gone through mediation training and parenting coordination training, so I can help and work with both families. Both parents, if they would like to try to get on the same page and talk about some things that they can do so that the divorce doesn't become a high conflict situation. So the way kind of approach it and how to maybe talk to each other at the beginning stages, so that we have a kind of a roadmap for going forward, even if you do work with lawyers, during or after, our discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. And, always keep in mind that there is support out there, that, if you have an attorney and you think maybe you need a coach, ask them if they have recommendations, right? And you don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to go through many situations alone. There's communities. Please reach out to Mary Ann or myself if you have questions, if you need resources. And we're so excited to have you on and to have this special resource available for our listeners. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Like you said, it's a hard process, but you'll get through it, get the right team, and definitely get people who understand special needs and disabilities and autism as part of the process to better support you and your kids.
Oh, I love that. Oh, anything coming up for you, events or anything you might be doing?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm kind of getting ready for, as we're recording this end of 2024, getting ready to kick off some things in 2025. So definitely reach out to me. I'm starting a private Facebook group too. So definitely get on that, and I'll share more information on all my social media as well as to upcoming.
Oh, that's great. Like a support group kind of group. I love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's been so nice to chat with you today, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.